Broadway, the Great White Way, heart of the world's most exciting city, New York. It's time for the 49th annual broadcast of New Year's Eve with Guy Lombardo's Royal Canadians. Sponsored by Polaroid's One Step, the motor-driven camera you never focus, and by famous Marantz and Super Scope, fine audio products. Tonight's special guest star is Leslie Uggams, and at Times Square, Lee Jordan. And now, from the world-famous Waldorf Astoria Hotel on fashionable Park Avenue, where New York's glamorous high society is celebrating New Year's Eve in the Grand Ballroom, it's Guy Lombardo's Royal Canadians. Ladies and gentlemen, Victor Lombardo.
Thank you and good evening, folks. Thank you very much for coming to our New Year's Eve party. All your friends will be watching you dancing tonight from coast to coast on CBS and also throughout Canada. We now introduce Kenny Gardner as Kenny sings the hit of 1977, New York, New York.
Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray, to step around the heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in the city that doesn't sleep, to find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap. My vagabond shoes are longing to stray. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. A brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
Thank you. Thank you. And now from Dr. Zhivago, Somewhere, My Love.
circumstances beyond our control, Paul Williams will not appear.
And now we take you to Times Square and Lee Jordan. Take it away, Lee.
Thank you very much, Victor, and good evening from Times Square across the United States and Canada. Once again, it's New Year's Eve in old New York and 25 degrees in Times Square. We're atop the marquee of the National Theater at the corner of Broadway and 44th, where Clint Eastwood is starring in The Gauntlet. It's New Year's Eve, and the crowd is out again tonight in strength, as is usual for these occasions. They're here in front of number 1 Times Square, where the electric ball will start its descent into 1978 at exactly 1 minute before midnight. Now, do you know how this custom began here in New York for the crowd to gather in Times Square for New Year's Eve? Well, it began New Year's Eve of 1905. That was the year that the New York Times had moved uptown from Park Row, giving what was until that time Longacre Square a new name, Times Square. And to celebrate their new address, the Times put on a giant fireworks show for that New Year's Eve of 1905. And that's how the custom began for the crowds to gather here to bring in the new year and to see out the old year. And what a year 1977 was. It began with President Carter's march down Pennsylvania Avenue, you might say, after his inauguration, and pretty well climaxed with President Sadat's march to the Middle East in search of peace. And tonight in Iran, President Carter says he is going to Egypt to see Sadat on Tuesday. It was a record breaker in cold, the coldest winter in 200 years, and last summer so hot it was 104 degrees where it was 25 degrees tonight. It was the year of the passing of so many greats in show business, Elvis and Bing and Groucho and Charlie Chaplin and our own Guy Lombardo, who'd been on the air for nearly 50 years every New Year's Eve here in New York, and of Ben Grauer, who'd been on the air for nearly 40 years, who had done this report for you every New Year's Eve. And what a crowd we have tonight, though, to bring in the new year and to say goodbye to 1977. I see signs from all over the world. Hello, Mom in Sweden. Hello, Brian in Buffalo. Hello, North America, USA, and Canada. That's the scene from Times Square. And now back to Victor Lombardo at the Waldorf on Park Avenue.
Right,
Thank you, Lee. We'll be visiting you a little later. And now, Ty Lemley to sing another great hit of 1977, You Light Up My Life.
You light.
And now, folks, here is Kenny Gardner to sing the hit song from the hit show, Cabaret.
What good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Put down your knitting, your book and your broom. Time for a holiday. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret.
This is where it's doing. Lee Jordan back with you in Times Square, and they say that the biggest crowd in history ever to come to Times Square was on VJ Day in August 1945. But this crowd is frenzied, and humanity is packed person to person as far as you can see in every direction from Times Square. We're at 44th and Broadway on the west side of Times Square. And of course, as I told you earlier, this custom began New Year's Eve before 1905 when the crowd came to the Times Tower here, built that year, to see a giant fireworks display for the first time, and they've come back ever since. The hum, the noise is getting louder as we get closer to the moment when that giant ball will drop from the top of the Times Tower, 22 feet above Times Square, into 1978, and we're just about 2.5 minutes away, it looks to be now. That Times Tower, which is now called #1 Times Square, was sold and became the Allied Chemical Tower in 1964, and then in 1974, a young fellow named Alex Parker, who recalls coming to Times Square for this New Year's Eve celebration on the subway for a nickel from his home, had saved his nickels and bought that building. Now he calls it #1 Times Square. And this New Year's Eve, to press the button starting the ball on its descent down into 1978, Alex Joes, a lady who was born the year that Times Tower was put up back in 1904. She is 73-year-old grandmother Lydia Bragger. And when she presses that button, the electric light bulbs will be flashing, and the giant ball will start its descent into next year. Then, after the new year begins, a model of a proposed space shuttle will be lighted there on top of the #1 Times Square in support of a drive to put the first manned structures in space for the conversion of solar energy by the year 2000. Congressman Olin Teague of Texas and Congresswoman Barbara McCuskey of Maryland are pushing support for the drive, along with a public committee headed by Mrs. Barbara Hubbard of New York, the Committee for the Future. They say that the space shuttle represents a step toward the ancient dream of peace, freedom, abundance, and knowledge and hope for all the children of the world. And those boys and girls are out tonight in Times Square. We're less than about 15 seconds away now from a minute before midnight, and they have come from all over the world to be here for this moment, from near and far. I can see signs from Buffalo, as I said earlier, from Sweden, from Piscataway, from all over the world. And now we are a minute away from 1978, and the giant ball has begun its descent into the new year. As you can hear, the roar of the crowd in Times Square is becoming louder as everyone is about to join in wishing you, wherever you are in the U.S. and Canada, all across North America, a happy New Year.
everybody dance to the tarantella.
Let's